Good blessings, my brothers and sisters in this truth. All praises to the Most High. Through our Savior's name, let's get our swords out the mud. Brothers and sisters, as children of the Most High, we must be on one accord, one love. That one accord and one love is the Most High, His will, not our will, not our self-ambition. Brothers and sisters, let's get into the book of Luke chapter 9, verse 28. Luke chapter 9, verse 28. Now it came to pass about 8 days after these sayings. Now, these sayings, which is referring to the scriptures before verse 28. Okay, and that is what our Savior is speaking with his disciples with, right? But but brothers and sisters, and please read. Please read just the whole book of Luke, brothers and sisters. I'm not going, but just for what I just want to spill to you right now, brothers and sisters, we're going to start at verse 28. Okay. So 8 days after these sayings that he took Peter, John, and James and went up on the mountain to pray. As he prayed, the appearance of his face was altered, and his robe became white and glistening. And behold, two men talked with him, who were Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his decease. His decease is him laying down his life, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. But Peter and those with him were heavy with sleep, and when they were fully awake, they saw his glory and the two men who stood with him. Then it happened, as they were parting from him, that Peter said to our Savior, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah, not knowing what he said. See, the disciple Peter, the beloved one from our Savior. He said to our Savior, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah, not knowing what he said. See, quick to honor man. See, we honor ourselves to try to show honor to the Most High. And we should not do that, leaning on our own understanding, because whenever we try to honor ourselves, meaning leaning on our own understanding to honor the Most High, we fall short in honoring the Most High. While he was saying this, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were fearful as they entered the cloud. And a voice came out of the cloud saying, this is my beloved son, hear him. What? The Most High said, this is my beloved son, hear him. We'll run that back. This is my beloved son, hear him. When the voice had ceased, our Savior was found alone, but they kept quiet and told no one in those days any of the things they had seen. So they didn't tell nobody in those days what they had seen. Now it happened on the next day, when they had come down from the mountain, that a great multitude met them. So a great multitude of people met them when they came down from the mountain. Suddenly a man from the multitude cried out, saying, Teacher, I implore you, look on my son, for he is my only child. And behold, a spirit seizes him, and he suddenly cries out. It convulses him so that he foams at the mouth, and it departs from him with great difficulty, bruising him. So the demon tearing him up, tearing up the little boy, right? Nowadays, they tell you go get a prescription, huh? So I implored your disciples to cast it out, but they could not. Then our Savior answered and said, O faithless and perverse generations, how long shall I be with you and bear with you? Bring your son here. And as he was still coming, the demon threw him down and convulsed him. Then our Savior rebuked the unclean spirit, healed the child, and gave him back to his father. So as soon as he was coming, the demon threw him down and convulsed him. Demon acting up. Then our Savior rebuked the unclean spirit, healed the child, and gave him back to his father. See? You can't prescribe to man to get healed, huh? You got to prescribe to our Savior, huh? Huh? And for a lot of those, that's a tough pill to swallow. It's easier to swallow the man pill, I guess, huh? Huh? Woe to you who choose to swallow the man pill. Look at here. Look at here. Do not deceive yourself. And they were all amazed at the majesty of the Most High. But while everyone marveled at all the things which our Savior did, he said to his disciples, let these words sink down into your ears, for the Son of Man is about to be betrayed into the hands of men. But they did not understand this saying, and it was hidden from them, so that they did not perceive it. And it was hidden from them so that they did not perceive it. It was hidden from the disciples so they could not perceive what our Savior was saying. Because our Savior had to do that. He had to go forth with with the will of the Most High. And that is to lay his life down. And brothers and sisters, that was hidden from them so that they did not perceive it. So, everything, brothers and sisters, has to follow in line with prophecy. We comprehend? Everything has to fall in line with prophecy. They could not perceive it because it was hidden from them. And the reason why it was hidden from them was because our Savior had to do a mission. Our Savior had to do a mission. And the details of that mission could not be perceived all the way, brothers and sisters. Could not be perceived all the way because the details of the mission had to be fulfilled. It's almost like if you knew something was going to happen, right? Then therefore you would prevent it from happening. You see? So it was hidden from the disciples. Okay? Let's get back into this read. We're going to start back at verse 45. But they did not understand this saying, and it was hidden from them, so that they did not perceive it, and they were afraid to ask him about this saying. Then a dispute arose among them as to which of them would be the greatest. And our Savior, perceiving the thought of their heart, took a little child and set him by him. Excuse me. So our Savior, perceiving the thought of their heart, which is the disciples' heart. So he's comprehending the dispute among them of who is the greatest, right? So our Savior took a little child and set the child by him and said to them, whoever receives this little child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives him who sent me. For he who is least among you all will be great. Now John answered and said, Master, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we forbade him because he does not follow us. But our Savior said to him, do not forbid him, for he who is not against us is on our side. So my brothers and sisters, even in a spiritual form, we must serve the Most High, doing his will, not serving how we want to serve, not trying to be great for self-seeking purposes. The Most High is going to make you great once you do his will, huh? You already know you great. Once you're doing the Most High's will, that's the greatest of all, huh? Let's jump back into the book of Philippians, chapter 2, verse 3. Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit. Conceit meaning pride, self-pride. But in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself. So, my brothers and sisters, that is what we must do. That is what we must do, brothers and sisters. And just to touch back on verse 45, but they did not understand this saying, and it was hidden from them so that they did not perceive it. Brothers and sisters, you see when our Savior had to tell the disciple, "Get behind me, Satan." When our Savior said, "Hey, I gotta go back in the trenches," the disciples just like, no, you sure you want, you sure you want to do that? Our Savior said, "Get behind me, Satan." You see? So that's what it's about, brothers and sisters. That's what it's about. Doing the Most High's will. Doing the Most High's will. And that's why the details of the mission was hidden from the disciples. We comprehend. We comprehend, brothers and sisters. So yes, my brothers and sisters, man, I wanted to also get into stay in the book of Philippians chapter 2, verse 17. And this is Paul speak in the letter, right, to Philippi, to the saints in Philippi, right? Yes, and if I am being poured out as a drink offering on the sacrifice and service of your youth, in service of your faith, I am glad and rejoice with you all. Let me run that back. Chapter 2, Philippians chapter 17. Yes, and if I am being poured out as a drink offering on the sacrifice and the service of your faith, I am glad and rejoice with you all. So, Paul is saying, if I'm being poured out as a drink offering on the sacrifice and service of your faith, because see, Paul went through it. Paul went through it, getting this gospel out. He went through it getting this gospel out, brothers and sisters. So if he's pouring this gospel out, brothers and sisters, in service of our faith, that's a beautiful thing. He says, I am glad and rejoice with you all that y'all drinking with me. Drinking this gospel. Huh? Huh? For the same reason you also be glad and rejoice with me. But I trust in our Savior to send Timothy to you shortly. And that's who Paul trusted, Timothy. Right? Paul trusted Timothy. Paul knew Timothy's spirit, right? That I also may be encouraged when I know your state. that I also may be encouraged when I know your state. So, Timothy, he knows is going to come and take care of the sheep, right? Because the sheep is fragile. We in a good state. We don't, we good. We don't need nobody that's going to take advantage. We don't need nobody that's going to take advantage of us after hearing this good gospel, being in line with the Most High. We don't need no wolf in sheep clothing, brothers and sisters. Verse 20, for I have no one like-minded who will sincerely care for your state. For all seek their own, not the things which are of our Savior. My brothers and sisters. But you know his proven character, that as a son with his father, he served with me in the gospel. Therefore, I hope to send him at once, as soon as I see how it goes with me. So Paul had to make sure, everything cool before he sinned, before he sent his brother out. Comprehend? We comprehend it. Because he's saying to you in verse 22, but you know his proven character, that as a son with his father, he served with me in the gospel. So he's saying like father, like son. You see? So, brothers and sisters, we must comprehend of the wolf in sheep clothing. What did Paul say? For I have no one like-minded who will sincerely care for your state. My brothers and sisters. So, my brothers and sisters, separate from the world. Be aware of wolves in sheep clothing. Do the Most High's will. Accept our Savior. Love your neighbor. My brothers and sisters. Philippians chapter 2, verse 14. Do all things without complaining and disputing. Verse 15, that you may become blameless and harmless children of the Most High without fault in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. Verse 16, holding fast the word of life, so that I may rejoice in the day of our Savior, that I have not run in vain or labored in vain. My brothers and sisters. My brothers and sisters. My brothers and sisters, I love you. Y'all stay prayerful. And I'm going to leave you with one more. We're going to stay in Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. No, we're gonna start at we're gonna finish at 11. Philippians chapter 2, verse 11. And that every tongue should confess that our Savior, that our Savior, that our Savior is the one. No, look, that our Savior is the one. Verse 11, I'm gonna run it back. And that every tongue should confess that our Savior is the one, to the glory of the Father, the Most High. Therefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is the Most High who works in you both to will and to do for his good pleasure. My brothers and sisters, my brothers and sisters, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Taken very seriously, brothers and sisters. It's not a game. This is not a game. This ain't something you can pause and get back to. Huh? You know, in some online games, you can't pause it. Right? Because you playing, you online with others, so you can't pause the game. Everybody's playing. Brothers and sisters, you cannot pause this game and come back to it. This is not a game at all. This is very serious. For it is the Most High who works in you both to will and to do. Huh? To will and to do for his good pleasure. That's the Most High. It's not for yours. So, it is the Most High who works in you both to will and to do. Brothers and sisters, y'all stay prayerful and keep your lamps filled with light.